Hey guys, Level Cap here, and welcome to This Week in Gaming, your weekly news roundup for everything going on in the gaming world. Today we've got some crazy news about Call of Duty, some huge gaming hardware announcements at CES, a brutal update on Tencent, and much more. So the cost to make a Call of Duty game can be $700 million or even more. A report from GameFile alleges that a recent court filing by Activision in an ongoing lawsuit lists the total development cost for Call of Duty Black Ops 3, 2019's Modern Warfare, and Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops 3 reportedly cost $450 million to develop and support over its lifecycle. Modern Warfare cost $640 million, and Black Ops Cold War cost a staggering $700 million. Again, it's important to note that these are total development and support costs for each game's life cycle, and I'd imagine that includes the marketing totals as well, which is usually a huge percentage of total costs. Nonetheless, it's still an astounding figure for an individual game. According to Wikipedia's figures for game development costs, some notable titles like The Last of Us Part 2 and Grand Theft Auto 5 cost around $200 million to make and support. Of course, other games like Genshin Impact and Star Citizen are closing in on $1 billion spent, but it's clear that Call of Duty might be the most expensive franchise ever developed, considering 4 of the top 10 games are totaling almost $2 billion before adjusting for inflation. And if you're wondering, is it worth it to spend that kind of cash on a Call of Duty game? Well, 2022's Modern Warfare 2 made about $1 billion within the first 3 days of launching. So yeah, they're doing some good math over there. Now, one of the biggest tech companies in the world made some huge announcements at CES, and they're also sponsoring today's video. Nvidia's new RTX 50 series GPUs are here, and they're turning the dial up with game performance and features. On top of the generational leap in raw rendering power, these GPUs support Nvidia's latest DLSS and reflex options. DLSS 4 with its new multi-frame generation can boost your in-game FPS up to an 8x multiplier. Improvements to DLSS upscaling and ray reconstruction provide an even cleaner output than ever before, and Reflex 2 introduces a new cutting-edge feature called Frame Warp. This lets your CPU calculate the camera position based on your real-time mouse movement in-game, independent of your game's frame rate, and it fills in any gaps with latency-optimized predictive rendering. This can further reduce latency over Reflex 1 by a huge margin, and it's coming soon to games like Valorant and the Finals. With pricing starting in the $500 range for the RTX 5070, now is a great time to upgrade your PC. I'd like to give a big thank you to Nvidia for sponsoring this video. Check out the RTX 50 series with my links below. So that ad actually covers quite a bit of the actual info about Nvidia's new 50 series hardware reveal, and further reports from the show confirm a solid performance improvement across the board. So basically, gamers can expect to pay less than what they did for the 40 series GPUs while also getting a nice performance boost. While AMD didn't properly announce specs, performance info, or pricing for their upcoming RDNA 4 GPUs at CES, they did announce the names of their next generation GPUs, as well as preview some significant improvements to their FSR upscaling tool. AMD are matching Nvidia's naming conventions for their Radeon 9000 series. The upcoming RX 970, for example, will likely be in the same ballpark as Nvidia's RTX 5070 when it comes to pricing and performance. But they haven't released any performance data officially, so we have to rely on leaks that suggest the specific GPU is on par with the current gen RTX 4080. As for FSR, version 4 of the upscaling tool will finally implement machine learning to improve visual quality when artificially boosting a game's resolution. Prior versions of FSR used more traditional upscaling and artifact removal technology, and the result was admirable but paled in comparison to Nvidia's DLSS upscaler. Reporting by Digital Foundry concludes that FSR 4 represents a big leap in quality by solving FSR's current issues with rendering fine textures, general artifacting, and ghosting around particles and other small details. Unfortunately, FSR will be exclusive to AMD's own GPUs. FSR has been platform agnostic otherwise, meaning Nvidia, Intel, and AMD GPUs could all use it. The U.S. Department of Defense has classified Chinese megacorporation Tencent as a Chinese military company. While the classification doesn't incur any legal or financial penalties, it's yet another step towards the U.S. government taking action against China-owned companies. Another Chinese company, ByteDance, is currently facing a ban from the U.S. market if they don't divest their ownership of TikTok. Tencent has become a major investor in the global game development industry. They own Riot Games and have significant ownership in Epic Games, Ubisoft, From Software, and many other studios. Concerns about Tencent's influence on these companies has been stirring for years. Beyond its investments in the game industry, Tencent is a dominant force in China's technology sector, particularly with its WeChat app. WeChat is ubiquitous in China, serving as the primary platform for messaging, transactions, and social media. This has led to numerous privacy, surveillance, censorship, and security concerns, given China's stringent data disclosure policies. And while Tencent says the classification is clearly a mistake, the U.S. Department of Defense asserts the company is suspected of aiding the Chinese government with civilian research. They could eventually face similar penalties as ByteDance and be forced to divest some of their holdings to companies operated outside of China. It's hard to know what the actual ramifications of this new classification will have. Tencent is deeply involved with many US-owned companies at this point. Most of their controversies have been with China's own regulatory agencies. That said, controversies surrounding Tencent's WeChat app have led to bans by international governments like Canada and India, as well as government scrutiny in the US. It looks like Valve is charging full steam ahead with its Steam OS, their Linux-based gaming-focused operating system. Lenovo's upcoming Legion Go S will offer the operating system, and a new beta is rolling out for other third-party companies to use on their own devices. Gamers can also download and install Steam OS on their own devices, including desktop PCs, provided that they have compatible hardware. Valve has become a huge driving force behind Linux gaming over the last several years, thanks to Steam OS and its Proton compatibility tool. Supporting Linux as a game developer really hasn't been that worthwhile considering its much smaller user base, but Linux being free and open source makes it an ideal alternative to paid operating systems like Windows, which lack the customization and efficiency needed to run well on portable devices with lower spec PCs. As Steam's OS reach expands beyond Valve's own Steam Deck, it could become a viable alternative to Windows, at least where PC gaming is concerned, especially if it can actually deliver better stability and performance. Microsoft announced their next Xbox Developer Direct livestream event is happening on the 23rd of this month. We can expect a full game reveal for Doom: The Dark Ages, which looks awesome, plus new info about the upcoming games South of Midnight and Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Microsoft are also teasing a new unannounced game that will be revealed during the event. Rumors are circulating that this unannounced game might be a remake of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Assassin's Creed Shadows has been delayed again, this time to March 20th. It was originally scheduled for the 2024 holiday season, only to be pushed back to February 14th. The latest delay will be used to further polish the game. Critical feedback surrounding the game's reveal has questioned its authenticity and historical accuracy. And while I'm sure some of that criticism is warranted, it also seems like a lot of it was just clickbaity titles to sow controversy about the game. Marvel Rivals Season 1 is now live. It adds 2 new playable characters, the Fantastic Four's Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman. Human Torch and Thing will be added in a later update. Season 1 also introduces the game's first major patch with a litany of improvements across both PC and console versions of the game. In our final story this week, the Nintendo Switch 2 leaks reached a fever pitch during CES thanks to unofficial renders of the device released by a third-party accessory company, Genki. They showed off renders and physical mock-ups of the unreleased console during CES, with attendees able to get hands on the physical unit as well as mock-ups of products like a cover accessory. During the event, they claimed that the mock-ups were based on the real console's hardware. However, further statements by the company have clarified that they were based on leaks, not hardware provided firsthand by Nintendo. Nintendo themselves even issued a statement saying that Genki's mock-ups were unofficial and they were not provided to Genki by them. This statement doesn't exactly rule out whether or not those mock-ups were accurate, so only time will tell. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode of This Week in Gaming, don't forget to drop us a like, hit that subscribe button, and ding the notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. If you think there's any other interesting stories that we might have missed, let me know in the comments so we can cover them in another episode. And up next, check out this video on Star Citizen basically getting an Escape from Tarkov mode. It's actually pretty cool. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.